What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to the Aces High podcast. We're your host, Miriah and Ty. Ty, happy Monday. How you doing?
Happy Monday. I'm doing well. It's a good Monday. Good Monday.
Good, good. Unfortunately, on the football side, it's not a good Monday, like a victory Monday for us. But, it's a victory Monday for us on the WNBA side. So I'll take
I'm
it.
still
I'll
repping though.
definitely take it.
I'm still repping.
um,
But WNBA wise is definitely a good Monday for sure.
Yep. Always a great victory Monday when your team wins in the playoffs, or victory any day following your team winning in the playoffs. So we'll definitely get into that here soon. Chat, what's up? Hope everybody's great. Everybody that watches on replay that's out there that's not in chat, what's up? We appreciate you all just the same. So today, as you guys can tell, I probably sound like shit. I feel like shit. I look like shit, all the above. So today is not going to be a long show. I contemplated for hours about canceling the show, but since it is the playoffs, and not only that, since Asia won MVP yesterday, I thought it would be a disservice to us, to her, to the WNBA community if we canceled today's show. So here I am. Like I said, we'll get through the things as fast as possible, and I'll get out of here as fast as possible. But I appreciate you all. Throwback, Don, always appreciate you guys and your support. Brandon, what's good?
What's good,
Niakila,
Brandon?
appreciate your support.
What's up? Exactly.
The support. Even Niakila been supporting on WNBA, been supporting on 49ers, been sharing all my shit on Twitter. Yeah. So I see you, and it's appreciated so much. Daniel Barry, what's good? Make sure if you guys aren't subscribed to Daniel Barry that you guys go subscribe over there on his channel. He posts a lot, as you can see in his name, sports highlights, all sports, football, baseball, basketball, everything. You can find it there. So make sure you guys are subscribed to him as well. All right. Let's start with, Asia winning MVP. Obviously, we talked about it all season. She showed up, like literally she showed up to like the first day of, their training camp of whatever, just different. After, last season, her not winning MVP, which she should have. But after her not winning it, she does this every offseason. She puts her head down, she works, she adds more bags, more tricks to the bag. And she did that same thing this offseason. She showed up, she felt slighted, and she said, you know what? I'm going to make sure that I don't leave no doubt out there that I'm going to be MVP this season. And from day one, game one, even when the Aces were going through a losing streak, and Asia's carried this team literally from game one all the way through till here we are. All I heard all season was, this person's had this little stretch of games that's been better, or done this little thing over here for this little few games that's been better. Tell them to step it up and do it all fucking season, okay? Unanimous MVP. Unanimous. Every single first place vote went to Asia Wilson, and it should have. So Lobo, whatever that hoe's name is that gave her the vote that made her not get MVP last season, I'm glad you pulled your head out of your ass, and probably you didn't want to have to hear us again for a whole nother season. So I'm glad you did the right thing and you got the hate out of your heart. So Ty, thoughts? Oh, and I would play this. I like playing you guys all the clips, but it's 6 minutes long, so you probably don't want to sit here for 6 minutes and watch it. But I would recommend that you guys go to the Aces YouTube page, and there's like a shorter version where she, the announcement's made to Asia that she got MVP, and she gets up and, she's thanking her teammates and whatnot. There's a short version of it, but don't watch that one. There's like a 6 minute or so one. I suggest that you go and watch that. And, that kind of sums up what we've been trying to tell you guys all season about the type of person that A'ja Wilson is, not just on the court, but off the court and in that locker room as well. Ty, thoughts?
Yeah. One, congrats, Asia. Amazing accomplishment. Um, Only the second unanimous MVP in WNBA history, right? And also, she becomes the third player to win to become a three-time MVP award winner. So huge accolades all around. Great for her. We've talked about this all season long. Like, she's just on another level from game one, and you can see it. And you brought up something big, and it's something we've touched on also mid-season and late in the season here, when we've heard other people's names pop up for MVP. It's like, you know what? They can be considered. They are having good seasons, but for the entire 40-game season, there's been one player who's been head and shoulders above everyone else, and that's A'ja Wilson. So there should be no doubt of who the MVP is. Yes, this person achieved an accomplishment in one game, or this person had a good week and they won player of the week, but she's been doing it all season long. So goddamn right. MVP unanimous. It was so deserving. I am so happy for her. And yeah, that list, I saw that list too, and that list is crazy. Just all the things that she accomplished this season. It is crazy what she did. And, you know, she's at her peak. And I think she's only going to get better from here. So we're witnessing greatness. We've seen her teammates talk about it all throughout the year, about giving her flowers, like, and it's deserved that we give her flowers now while she's in it. Let's not wait till 25 years from now. Yeah, she's the one. Her brand name of A1 is right on point.
Yeah. So, this list, let me run through it real quick. So this is obviously just for the 2024 season. First player in WNBA history with 5 consecutive games of 20 plus points and 10 plus rebounds. First player in WNBA history with 35 plus points, 10 plus rebounds, and 5 plus steals in a game. Became the all-time scoring leader in Aces franchise history. Recorded her first 2020 game, second player in Aces franchise history to do so. WNBA record 20 consecutive games of 20 plus points. Owns the single season record with 15 set this year. Most 25 plus points, 10 plus rebound games in a single season. Joins Candace Parker, the GOAT, as the only players with 25 plus points, 15 plus rebounds, 5 plus assists, and 5 plus blocks in a game. Whew.
Unreal.
Joined Brianna Stewart and Diana Taurasi, two other greats, for most 40 plus point games in WNBA history with 4. Most 30 plus points, 10 plus rebound games in a single season with 8. Most points scored in a single season. First player to record 1,000 plus points in a single season. Most rebounds in a single season. Set a new PPG record in a single season, passing Diana Taurasi's 25.3 set in 2006. First player to average 25 plus points and 10 plus rebounds in a single season.
Unreal.
Just, man, I just, just in awe of really the greatness that we've witnessed, obviously, since she's been drafted, right? But
yeah,
so much more that we witnessed this season. And like I said, literally from game one all the way, and she sat out the last game, unfortunately, because I was there and didn't get to see her. But the bench mob put on a freaking show. But like from game one all the way through, and that's with carrying through the freaking Olympics. She didn't get no, break like all these other teams players did. She went and, she wasn't a player on the USA team either that just got to be there riding the bench to their gold medal. Like she actually carried the team to their gold medal. After carrying the Aces all the way through the first half of the season, just to come back. And while her teammates are getting rest days, she's still having to pick up the entire team and carry them to the playoffs. Like, got injured throughout that time, just, man, like, and still just put on a complete clinic, game in and game out, night in and night out. And, like, Fee, obviously, she was the player with, the most second place votes, deservingly so, because like you said, even though we're sitting up here saying, oh, blah blah, these people are saying this about their players, like I'll never sit up here and take away what another player did. And Fee had a great season,
phenomenal,
a great season.
Oh yeah.
And if there was no A'ja Wilson in this league, Fee would have won MVP. But unfortunately, when you have somebody else having the type of season she had, even though, Fee had literally a great season, not even just a good season. She had a great season. And she's another player that plays both ends of the court. She's great on offense. She always 95% of the time guards the best player on the opposite team, which A'ja doesn't always do. And she still puts up 20, 30 points a freaking night. Like she's a bucket, right? Like if it wasn't for Fee, like you can see when Fee is out games, like that team is just, even though they have other great players on that team, it doesn't work the same, like when you take out an MVP caliber person off the team, normally good things don't happen. And we saw that Fee missed games this season and their team looked like shit. And, like she's a great player. She's an amazing player, and had a great season. But not compared to A'ja, like I'm sorry, it wasn't. And I'm really glad that the voters got it right, because I would have hated to have to sit up here for the next 3 months every single show and cuss these people out. And like I just don't need that in my life right now. So I'm glad that they got it right. And like I said, that video, just real quick, to summarize. So like the teams in the room looks like they're having a meeting. And Becky's in the front, and so she has her phone, and she's like, okay, let me put it on speaker, and holds it out, and she's like, the lady's like, oh, is A'ja there, whatever, and she's like, tells her that she won MVP. The entire team starts jumping up, going crazy, like as expected. And then A'ja gets up to, say her thank yous, like literally her first, speech, whatever, to the team after finding out she's MVP. And she goes through player by player, even Queen, who just joined the team,
literally just got there.
She goes through player by player, and she had said that the night before she actually wrote each of her teammates a note. And that's what she got up there and read. And so she goes through thanking each one of her teammates and letting them know how much of an important part that they've played in helping her get, to MVP, get to the person she is, the player that she is, having the career she is, just gives each teammate their due, their respect, and it's like, that's the type of person that A'ja Wilson is. Like, she doesn't get up there and say, oh, thank you, I did this, me. No, she's like, the only reason I got to this was because of you.
Yep.
And that type of leadership, like, that's like, you can have, and I think it was AC had said in one of her, it might have been her, had said in a presser recently that, you can have star players, right? And
It was
every
her.
team has their star player, right? Like, but to have a star player be the type of leader that Asia Wilson is, on top of being a star player, like that's rare. That's unique.
Yep.
You know, and that's coming from somebody that's played on multiple teams with numerous stars, some of the best women to ever play in this game. Alicia Clark's played alongside of. And so, and I tell you guys, when she gets behind the mic, I listen because she has that experience. She's not just saying, oh, the best, like from my experience, she's the best leader, blah, blah, blah. And this is the only team that she's ever been on. And she was just drafted here 2 years ago. Like, well, duh, it's the only shit that you know, right? But Alicia's been on all these teams. She's been around all these star players, all these different leaders. She's been a leader herself. She is a leader herself on the Aces right now. Being the 5th, 6th, 7th person off the bench is still a leader, you know? So to hear her get up there and say the things that she says, like about Asia, is like, you got to listen. And it just, you know, I like me and Ty, we can sit up here and tell you guys every day, which we do every time we talk to you guys, we tell you guys how great she is. But when you hear it coming from the people that actually spend, you know, 20 hours a day with the girl, you know, it tends to probably, you know, make more sense. So I just suggest that, like I said, you guys go watch that video on the Aces YouTube page. It's about, look for the 6-minute one. Because she said, like, I was bawling my eyes out. I'm already last night sick as shit, right? Like boogers, snotting, and then I'm like watching this video, crying, snotting. Like it just wasn't a pretty picture.
Lovely.
Okay, so
yeah.
So that's another reason I ain't gonna play it right now for you guys, okay? Because I don't need to be crying and snotting right here.
It is definitely worth listening to and just watching, and to see the humility from a superstar. And to give thanks to her teammates is what all of us who are sports fans want from our team leader. So go check it out.
Yep. What's up, Wnba Baroni?
What up?
Rick Diaz, what's good? All right, so let's talk about the playoffs. Well, real quick, just let me tell you guys. So I went to the last game of the season on Thursday, and so the starters, all the starters, the 4, you know, starters out of the 5 rested.
Yeah.
So like once I found that out the day before, like I was thinking about selling the tickets, honestly, because like I already had, you know, like was spending money I shouldn't have been spending, and then to not be able to like see Asia, like that's the whole point. Like for me to get to see Asia Wilson play in person, you know, like to see Chelsea Gray, to see Jackie Young, right? Like, so to find out like they're all resting, I was just kind of like, man. And then I'm thinking, you know, if the other team's not resting their starters, then we're going to get our ass kicked on top of it. So like, what kind of experience is it going to be, right? But you know, the team came out and said, you know, that it was going to be fan appreciation day and all this. And I'm like, you know what? For as much, you know, I'm always trying to show so much love to Alicia Clark and to Tiffany Hayes all the time, you know? And so like, what kind of like, how would that look that, oh, I'm going to show you guys love and whatever to your faces on Twitter, on, you know, YouTube, whatever, but I'm not going to pay to go and actually show you guys support, you know, and watch you guys play basketball. So I'm like, nah, I'm going. I made my signs. I made a sign split for Alicia Clark, for Tiffany Hayes, thanking them for being our 6th player of the year. You know, obviously Alicia last season, Tiff, hopefully she gets it this season. And then I made another sign, you know, just thanking the whole team for a great season. And it was a great experience. We had awesome seats. It was just, you know, the bench mob, as they call them, like they fucking balled out. Like really, you know, you had Satu starting for the other team. Enrique didn't play, but you know, you still, it's not like they rested all their stars. Like they were still trying to play and win that game. And our bench came out and said, not today, you're not. And you know, the Aces, they showed out. Like they gave us these towels were on all the seats which I got a few to do giveaways on the show throughout the off season, whatnot. And then I don't know if you guys can see, but this flag, they gave us these flags. So I got a couple of those to give away on the show as well. Once I hit 900 subs, you know, I always do a big giveaway for the 49ers side of things. So it's only fair that we do something for the WNBA side. So once we hit 900 subs, then I'll give away one of these flags too. And yeah, it was great. Oh, and then they gave us, where is she? These. They're fans.
I didn't see that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was fun, and they did a bunch of like giveaways throughout. Like they kept like throwing shirts and stuff into. I actually got hit in the face with freaking one of them.
Oh my gosh.
And then it bounced off and went to somebody else. I'm like, I got hit in the fucking head.
In the face.
I'm like, I'm gonna sue. I didn't even get the damn shirt and got hit. But we did end up getting one. We don't even know where it came from. The guy sitting behind us, I think he was trying. It like had went. My wife was standing up, and it went like back in her seat, like behind her, like in between the closed seat. And he was like leaning up, and I think to try to see if he could grab it because he saw it go there. And then I turned and looked at him at the same time, and he's like, "Oh, you guys already got a shirt. It's right there." I'm like, "Yeah." So my wife ended up, it was perfect size for her and everything. So
great.
She won the shirt. So yeah, it was a great time. The team all stayed after to sign autographs. Afterwards, Blue Man Group was there. They put on a great halftime performance. Just a great overall atmosphere. And what I expect coming from Vegas, like if you've been in Vegas and you've ever been to a Golden Knights game, like it's top class, like above like hockey standards, raised to the next level. Like they put on a freaking show, and you know, like you don't even have to be a hockey fan to have a good time going to the games. Like that's how it is. And I'm glad that they do the same, you know, for these ladies, because they deserve it. Bring in so many championships already to this city. You know, and like they put on a show. It was a great time. So I'm glad that I went. Now
that's great. I'm glad you had an awesome time.
Yes, sir. All right, playoffs. Fever. Let's start. Fever versus the Sun. 69-93. Now, I didn't watch too much. I watched, you know, a little bit of this game, but first, let's start with this. The first day of playoffs for WNBA, and they put it on NFL Sunday, competing against the NFL.
I know.
All 4 playoffs games were yesterday at the same time as freaking NFL games. It's like you're trying to get eyes and grow the game, yet you have them competing against the NFL. Like when the NFL barely just started, like that's going to get the eyes, you dumbasses. So whatever. So Fever versus Sun. Now, a couple of things. First, it's kind of crazy that, you know, 2 girlfriends are playing each other in the playoffs. So when one gets their ass kicked, you know, then they got to go home and deal with that, right? So as you saw after this game, Melissa Smith wasn't very happy, and what's her
Dejanay Carrington.
Yeah, Carrington comes up and like she's trying to talk to her, and like she's like, "We'll talk when we get home."
Yeah.
And then, you know, Melissa Smith only played 9 minutes in that game.
Yep. That's why she wasn't happy. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yep. And like they think that she's gonna want to be like, I saw Fever fans talking about like her body language, and she's not acting like she wants to be there. No, you played her 9 minutes in a fucking playoff game that you got smoked, that you got your ass kicked in.
Exactly.
Thoughts on this game, and just do you think Fever, because you know all I kept hearing was Caitlin Clark was MVP and the Fever were going to win the championship this season. So do you think they even make it past the Sun, or do you think this is a 2-game series? How do you think this shakes up?
No, I had the Sun winning this series. We saw the Fever. They were hot toward the end of the season. However, that hotness came at the expense of teams who didn't make the playoffs, or like a team like Atlanta who barely made the playoffs, right? When they played Minnesota, they lost. When they played the Aces beat them back-to-back times on their own floor. So you can see there was a difference in the levels of opponents that who they win against.
Mhm.
So I thought they would put up a fight, though, knowing that this is the 5th time they're seeing Connecticut. Dejanay Carrington is a little beat up, so that could play into their favor. And they would come out with some strategy of, okay, let's try something different to attack them. And, we can make this a game. Lo and behold, it was the Sun who came out with a different tactic to attack them and totally neutralized them, which was absolutely brilliant on their part. Having Dewana Bonner guard Caitlin Clark and Bree Jones, so that if they do a switch up, you still have a big on big and a big body in front of Caitlin Clark. Wow. That was great strategy. Yeah, pure genius. And as you can see, it totally disrupted her game. So, and then you come
real
off
quick,
that.
Caitlin Clark ended the game 36 minutes, 4 rebounds, 8 assists, and 11 points.
Yeah. So, and we're not even going to talk about the 2 of 13 shooting from 3-point land. I mean, she built herself a new house with all them bricks, but but it was we know Connecticut prized themselves on defense. They wanted to stop you defensively and take things away, and that strategy was brilliant. And then you come off that, then it's like, oh, and okay, Dewana Bonner, let's switch off and let's put Dejanay on you right now. It was crazy. Beautiful job by them. It was a kind of a battle early going on because other people contributed, but you can see Connecticut was just wearing them down. And they got great play from their bench, Veronica Burton and others, and they just took the game over in true Connecticut style. They beat you down and take the game over, and that's what they did. And it showed you the team that's been in the playoffs before versus the team that's just getting there for the first time in a decade or whatever that time frame is. It showed you the difference.
Yeah. And the Sun, right at the trade deadline, adding Mabry to the team. A lot of us, we didn't know how it was, like we know she's a shooter, right? But like, how is it going to fit? How, like, we know her and Carrington have got into things before. Like,
yeah,
like she didn't have, like, you're just sticking her right in the middle of the season. Like, okay, figure this shit out, like, so we didn't know how it was going to, work out. And even though Mabry, like her, like she bricked a bunch of shots too. Like she started off with a rough shooting night.
She started off, yeah.
Still ended up leading the team with 27 points.
Yeah.
So like that's a huge piece, added to their team right at the deadline. That's now, making exactly what they added her for. Her 3-point shot, and made a difference. Behind her, you had Bonner with 22 points. And then after that, like Carrington had 14, AT had 12.
Yep.
Smidgely after that. On the other side, Fever, you had Kelsey Mitchell leading the way with 21 points.
Kelsey Mitchell was Kelsey Mitchell. Yeah.
Boston had 17 points. And then you had, a bench player with 12 points. And then, like you mentioned, Caitlin Clark with 11. Like, you're not going to win games like that.
No.
And obviously no defense. The Sun scored 93 fucking points. Like, what are we doing?
Exactly.
Like, you have to play some defense. Like, this is the playoffs.
Where's the defense? Exactly. Yeah. Defense wins championships.
I'd be very surprised if the Fever even win. So the next set of games, game 2, they have 2 games tomorrow and 2 games Wednesday. The
Yep.
Fever play Wednesday. So I would, if I had to put money on it, I'm betting for the Sun to win and they send the Fever home.
Yeah.
All right.
I
Next game.
I called the sweep. I was like, I don't see them getting past them. Just because of the experience and the way they could just wear you down. And you saw it in that game.
Yep. Let's go to Dream versus the Liberty.
Oh Lord.
Let me pull it up here. What a freaking mess this shit was. I hate they have, and I don't know how else like they would figure out the seeding, but like when they have such good teams going against such shitty teams, like in round 1, it just makes for like a not fun experience. But here we are. So Liberty beat the Dream 83-69.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody really showed up for the Liberty. Like you had Howard leading the way with 14 points.
Oh, for the Dream, you mean? Yeah.
For the Dream, yeah.
Yeah.
Like you against the
and those
best
14
team,
came all in the second half.
like you're not going to win games with your highest score being leading the way with 14 points. And then the Liberty, you had, let's see, Phoebich leading the way with 21 points.
She was hot.
Stewart 20 points. Sabrina was 17. Exactly. I mean, so yeah, I mean, I wasn't expecting that the Dream were going to beat the Liberty, but I was expecting for a better showing than that. To have Alicia Gray only with 9 points, 5 rebounds and 9 points in a playoff game, like your stars got to show up, and if your stars aren't shining, then it's a pretty dark and gloomy night for you, and that it was.
it was a dark and gloomy night indeed. Yeah, this was Liberty in control from beginning to end. And like you just mentioned, when your stars don't show up, it's going to be a bad night. And you expected the Ryan Howards, the Alicia Grays, the Tina Charles, coming back to New York. This is her hometown, to get out there and start doing their thing immediately. And it just didn't happen. The entire Atlanta Dream team was kind of non-existent in the first half. Mm-hmm. The Liberty got to do anything they wanted. And the Dream was just inconsistent with their shooting. Ryan Howard just missing everything. Like you said, she didn't score her first points to the second half. That whole 14 came in the second half. And that's not cool. So to me, you mentioned seeding. This is your typical matchup of your number 1 seed versus your number 8 seed. Yep. You expect that number 1 seed to come out and put the smack down on someone. That's what happened. The fans, we always want to see a good game and like, all right, let's make this competitive. They can put up some fight, but no, this was the typical David versus Goliath game right here. And the Liberty showed out. And this was without Jonquel Jones even having a good game. Like she didn't even score in double figures. So imagine if she got going, like it could have been worse.
Yeah, so she had 9 points.
Yeah. So I don't even know what the Dream can do next game to try to combat this. They did have a little run in there where they just went on fast breaks. They were just speeding up and down the court and trying to get easy buckets. Maybe they can do that next game, but can they sustain that for 40 minutes? I don't think it's sustainable. Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, they play tomorrow. And the same, I'm expecting the Liberty to win and send the Dream home.
Yep.
There's not too much they can do other than dream, wish, hope, and pray. And
I know, right? It's a dream that they win in. Like,
and it's unfortunate because like Alicia Gray, she's one of my favorite players in the league. Yeah. Like they have some stars on that team, but
yes, they do.
I mean, when you're going against the super team that was built specifically
this is what they was
to
built for.
take down teams, you know.
Yeah.
That's where we're at with that. Let's go Mercury versus Lynx. 95 to 102. The Lynx took care of business. Let me pull this up. Where are we? All right. So leading the way on that side, for the Mercury, you know, and real quick before we get into it, you know, this is probably the last, you know, times that we see Diana Taurasi play basketball.
Yeah.
You know, those that don't know, the last game on Thursday, she, after the game, you know, went on a big speech afterwards, thanking the fans, thanking, you know, everybody. You know, she always said that she didn't want like you know, like it to be known and a big deal. Yeah, like a big farewell tour when she goes out, like she just wants to go out, right? And I think that's, you know, what we saw is, you know, pretty much we all figured this was going to be her last season. But I mean, a lot of us thought last year was going to be her last season, you know?
I know, right?
Like, oh, another one. I got another one in me,
right?
You know?
One more,
so like you still never know, right? Till the very last time. But with the whole speech and everything, it just seems like, you know, this is going to be it. And, you know, obviously, you know, some people hate Diana. You know, obviously she has a lot of fans as well. But I mean, you can't, like, she's had a great career, a long, successful career in the W. You know, she's been balling out so long when there's probably only freaking 10 people watching the W. Shit. You know, and just doing her thing, like so many records and, you know, so many lists and upon lists that have her name, you know, top 5, top 10, whatever. You know, and that's something that you're like, you know, never going to get taken away from her. She's going to be on the top of those lists for probably as long as we're alive. You know, and so, you know, hats off to her, shout out to her for, you know, a great career, being an ultimate competitor, staying with the same team,
same
you
organization.
Know, every, like, that is so unheard of in the W, especially. Like, these girls change teams like they change their freaking underwears, like they change their girlfriends. And to be there, how many years has she played? Like,
I think it's like 21, 20 something.
And to be with the same team all those years, like a lot of compromise, you know, like the contract situation, so much goes into play to be able to keep a player on a team. Like that, the ultimate, the player has to want it and the team has to want it, you know, that bad to make it last that many years. So shout out to the organization, to her, because like we probably will never see that again. You know, hopefully we get to see Asia with the Aces all those years, you know, but, you know, so hats off to her. Great career. Unfortunately, you're not going to win in the playoffs, so your career is going to be ending, you know, very soon here. But so number wise on the Mercury side, Natasha Cloud, 33 points in 38 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
33 points, 10 assists, and 6 rebounds. Led the way for sure. Coming behind her, you had Diana with 21 points. And then Copper, you had 16 points. Griner, it's so odd to me. Like, I never, and you guys know, I always say this, like, I don't understand why there's ever a day when she doesn't have over 10 rebounds and at least 20 points. Like, there should be no reason. You're the tallest person in the league. Why are you not rebounding every single fucking ball that doesn't make it into the basket? There's no excuse. Zero excuse. That's effort. Like, she has no want or effort to fucking rebound the ball. And that's why her team's never going to fucking win, because their big is not doing what she's supposed to be doing as a fucking big. And then, so on the Lynx side, you have Collier leading the way with 38 points. Had herself a freaking game. 38 points, 40 minutes. Like, they don't even give her 1 second of freaking rest. She has to play every single second of the game, even though her team's like winning. Like, God forbid the girl get 2 minutes of rest. And then you had McBride with 20 points, and
Mhm.
there's not very much points, to go around after that. So you had Carlton with 12, Hines Allen with 10. So yeah, this wasn't that, much of an ass whooping, 95 to 102.
No.
If the Mercury, like I said, if Griner could pull her head out of her ass and actually rebound the ball, and your fingertips are right at the basket, there's no excuse why you're not putting the ball in it. If she could do her thing, and like there's no, like, Mercury is the weirdest team to me. Like, they literally have stars across the entire team, and yet they just can't, like, I don't know if it's like they play selfishly, they don't, they're not playing, like, they're just too busy worrying about their own self, their own stats, their own this, they're not playing team basketball. Like, I don't know what the hell it is, but like, you've had girls on this team playing together for years and years and years and years. Like, there's no excuse for like this type of showing night in and night out that they continue to have, like, the entire season. Like, people are expected so much out of this team, especially with Cobb being there for the whole season, like, very odd. But I wouldn't necessarily count them out of this next game. They play Wednesday. So, this might go 3 games. This might be maybe the only series that goes 3 games.
Yeah, it's you mentioned it. Phoenix is the weirdest team, and we talked about this during the season. Like, they're the biggest head scratcher in the entire league, because on paper they match up with anybody in the league. They have their big 4. They got names. They got people that are bona fide, like, all-stars, right?
Yep.
There's no way they should be the 7th seed, but they're this huge head scratcher, and it's like they can't put it together on a consistent basis. That's the biggest thing. They're just inconsistent. Like, one night they look like the world champions, and then the next night they're looking like the worst team in the league.
Like in
It's like, what is going on? And then in that game yesterday, like in the first quarter, they were looking like, oh, you look like a 7th seed. But then you turn around the third quarter, they look like a number 1 seed. And you're like, what is up? What is going on? And Diana Taurasi shooting 50% from the floor. Like, Granny still got it. She coming out like grandmama, cooking, hitting, coming off the elbow, hitting threes. Like, you're like, what is going on? And they clawed their way back into that game and made it a game at the end. And, kudos to the Lynx for showing their championship caliber kudos, and was like, nah, we gonna fight and we gonna show you we winning this one. So game 2, I feel like that if Phoenix shows up, that could be a dog fight. If Brittany Griner hits some shots, it'll definitely be a dog fight. Like, I don't see how she goes 3 for 10 from the field. That's just insane for me. There's no one, like, Dorka has height. Dorka Mulehouse for the Lynx. She has height, but she doesn't have that Brittany Griner height. Dorka's big, but Brittany's a different kind of big. Like, it's a 2 different things. So it could go either way. It all depends on which Phoenix team shows up. We know what Lynx team you're going to get because they're consistent night in and night out. And like you mentioned earlier in the show, how great Napisa Collier is, and she put it on display. She was not having it. She was like, I'm gonna do what I got to do, and she had a great game. And the Fever pulled it. I mean, the Lynx pulled it out. I'm looking forward to game 2 because there's intrigue in this matchup. There's big intrigue, just because of, you never know what you're going to get from Phoenix. You could get the Phoenix Aces, or you could get the Phoenix Dream. You never know.
Hey, Sin.
What's up, Sin?
All right. The final game, Aces versus the Storm. Aces win 78 to 67. this was really like the tale of two halves. The Aces came out and were just total ass. Like, I did not even recognize them the first quarter. They only scored 9 points the first quarter. So that shows you, like, wow.
The worst quarter of the playoffs thus far.
And like, you know, I'm tweeting out like, oh my God, Becky, like, call a timeout, cuss them out, like, do something. What the hell is going on? I'm like already knowing at halftime that she was gonna fricking get into their asses just by the way they played that first half. Now the second quarter was much better than the first quarter, but still the first half, just defensively, offensively, Asia's shot was not falling. Now, the brightest spot, let me just point this out right now. Chelsea Gray. Holy smokes. Now, you know, there's this thing. She has actually it came out at 6:30. The video on the Aces YouTube page. They're gonna have to start paying me for all this, you know, free shout outs and giving their page
promo. You're doing marketing right now.
Tonight they have I don't know how many different parts of that it's going to be, but part 1 of Chelsea Gray's rehab and recovery to getting back onto the court. And during the little promo like thing that they had telling us about it, her wife ends it saying something like I can't remember the exact quote, but something like when you get to the playoffs, and like when you have to count on Chelsea Gray, like she's gonna show up, like she's gonna be there when you need her. And we've talked about obviously the first half before Chelsea Gray came back from injury, the Aces looked like shit, and you know we sat up here and said even if we're not getting, you know, the points from her, just having her presence on the court means so much to this team. Like the way she's just a floor general out there. She's like having another Becky out there on the floor, right? Like, and Becky relies on her to do so much out there. So when you don't have her, like the Aces just look like complete and utter ass, right? Like we were asking other players to do something that they're not supposed to do, that they don't know how to do, and that we shouldn't have been asking them to do. But you know, then she gets back and her scoring like has been off, like up until probably the last, I would say 3 weeks, maybe before the season ended, you started to see like each game, like, okay, Chelsea's coming back. Okay, a couple more shots fell tonight. Okay, we're on an incline, you know, we're moving on up here. And man, the Chelsea Gray that we saw last night in the playoff game is the Chelsea Gray that we need to see every night here on out through the playoffs if the Aces plan on three-peating, because she is so important to this team. And her shot was falling, and it was a beautiful, beautiful game by Chelsea Gray last night. And just overall, Becky called a great game. To have the Aces completely like take NECA out of the game. You know, that was their game plan. The first half, she was like scoring her. You could tell she was gonna be on a heater, and they're like, nope. They started doubling her every time she would get near the basket. They were throwing an extra defender to her, and it worked fantastic. You know, and as much as I love Skylar and you know everything about her game and everything, but you can like there's a point when you can tell she gets frazzled. Yes. And once you got her frazzled, game over. Game over.
Done.
It's so easy to get in her head. She's going to foul like crazy. Her shot's going to be off. And the Aces did that to her last night. So finishing up the game on the Storm side, you had Skylar leading the way with 16 points. Gabby Williams, 14 points. 14 points and eight rebounds. Obviously, Gabby Williams, we know, just joined the team, you know, not that long ago. And she definitely made, a presence felt on the court last night. And then you had Nneka with 13 points and 10 rebounds. On the Aces side, you had Asia leading the way, 21 points, 8 rebounds. You had Tiff Hayes. I'm forever a Tiffany Hayes fan. What she has done for this team, oh my God. Like, it can't even be quantified into words, the importance that she's had on this team. 20 points she ends the night with her mom in attendance. Her mom had never flown on an airplane before.
Amazing.
Never in her life. And she flew last night to come watch Tiff Hayes play in the playoffs last night. And Tiff showed up and showed out for her mom. And that was so awesome to hear. And then you had Chelsea Gray, 16 points. Jackie with 12. And yeah, it was just, a complete team win by the Aces last night. Great basketball. The second quarter, obviously. The first quarter, we're done with that. And then, the big difference here is the fourth quarter. The Aces defense locked them the fuck up. They only scored 2 points in the fourth quarter. 2 points. We talked about how shitty the Aces first quarter was, scoring 9 points. And the Aces held them to 2 points. Now, and this is the time when, they should be shooting. Like, they're trying to come up. Like, they're down. The Aces are ahead, right? Like, you're trying to get the lead back. Like, you need to be making shots. And the Aces just went on a freaking run. I forget. There was like a 16-0 run or something at one fucking point. Like, something crazy. And yeah. Like, I wouldn't be surprised, like I said, that the Mercury and Lynx are the only teams to take this to 3 games, because I would expect if we see the Aces team that finished that game last night, like if we can get that Aces team that was the last 2 quarters to show up in the first quarter, the Aces play tomorrow. So like, continue where you left off and there should be no issues. What you think?
Yeah, man, it was crazy. First of all, let me correct myself. Earlier, I said the Aces 9 points was the lowest point total in the quarter. I meant the lowest opening quarter, because obviously the 2 points by Seattle was the lowest of the playoffs. But Seattle came out with a defensive mindset. Let's just stop them on defense. And the Aces was playing kind of one-on-one ball, and shots just weren't falling. I mean, everything at the rim wasn't falling. Kelsey Plum was shooting threes, and it was weird. They would hit the rim and like bounce out.
They would be like double, all the way in that motherfucker, and then
exactly. And then all of a sudden, it was like someone was in there doing voodoo to say miss or something. It was the weirdest thing. So shots just weren't falling. So it was a terrible first quarter. I mean, thus the 9 points. But you talked about Becky making adjustments. One thing she did is she put in her defensive lineup.
Coach of the month, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. Shout out to Becky. She put in her defensive lineup. And that's, Tip, AC, Sid came in. That's her defense squad. And they get it started on defense. Yep. They get it started on defense, and they even stub KP back. She's just a pest on defense. She's not a great defender, but she's a pest. She gets in people's faces and annoys them. Thus the Skylar Diggins thing. So, and that's what got it all started. And then shots started falling. I think a big thing is Chelsea Gray. She started commanding the offense in the second quarter. Like, enough of this one-on-one stuff. Let's run some plays. And she started distributing. Like, she had 0 assists in the first quarter, but 5 in the second, because she was like, let's do this. And also, her contributions on defense has been crazy. We know she's a leader on offense, but her communication on defense and her help defense is wild. It's greatly underrated. So she was a huge catalyst out there. Tiffany Hayes was just going off. I mean, 6 woman of the year. Let's do it. I remember when we first
Hands
started the
down.
show, and and you asked me about Tip, I was like, she's a bucket. She can score, and she wasn't scoring so much in the beginning because she just came out of retirement.
Yeah.
She had to get her legs up under her, but now she's fully game ready and 100% acclimated. Like she's ready to take over whenever.
I've never seen somebody put their body on the line as much as Tiff Hayes does, game in and game out. Like she will throw her body to block a shot, to get an assist, to get a rebound,
all over the floor.
She's always on the ground. Like at the game, I swear, every time I would look up, she would be on the floor. Like I couldn't even believe it. Like watching on TV, like you miss a bunch of it because the cameras aren't always on it. Like you still see her on the floor a lot, but in game, in person, like literally always on the freaking floor. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, she's not afraid to go in there and play big, and she's like the smallest person on the floor. Yeah, it's crazy. And we talked about the leader that Asia is. Like the first thing she does like in post game interview or something is thanks Tiffany Hayes' mom for making the flight out. Like what superstar takes a moment to acknowledge that and to thank a parent
after a playoff win?
Asia's on a different level. But like you said, it's the defense that really got things going. And then they started hitting their shots. KP saw the threes weren't going, so she's like, let me just take the ball to the rack. Smart on her part. I love Becky's defensive adjustments, not only putting in her defensive crew, but saying, hey, you know what? In the second half, Skylar's flustered. Jewel really is, she's having an off night. It's all about NECA. Double team her.
Yep.
Get the ball out of her hands and let's force someone else to beat us. And it was a great strategy. That's the kind of in-game adjustments you want your head coach to make. Unlike some other head coaches, but we'll talk about that tomorrow on Talk Shit Tuesday. Join in, fellas, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a good one. But Becky did her thing. Like you can't question her coaching prowess on from yesterday, because I think like after that first quarter, everything she did was spot on, and even the lineups she put out there in like, all right, I'm gonna take Tip Hayes out and I'm gonna put Chelsea Gray in with the defensive crew. And you think, oh, that's going to be a liability? Nope. They even took it up a notch. So it was great moves all around.
I agree. Yeah. So, for me saying we're gonna have a short show today, right on time as usual time.
Yep.
So thanks a lot, you guys, for keeping my sick ass here for an hour. Like Ty said, we will be back tomorrow night, or tomorrow afternoon, to talk 49ers, to talk NFL. Bring your shit talking. We have a lot of shit talking to do, because if you're a 49ers fan or if you follow the NFL, you'll know the 49ers look like shit. So yeah, we'll be back tomorrow at 3 Pacific, right? 3 Pacific time.
Yep.
For that. So, tune in. All those that hung out with us tonight, we greatly appreciate you all. And everybody that continues to support the Wnba show. You're greatly appreciated. I've been seeing, on other on our past episodes, when I go to make the new one, like I'm so bad about checking the comments on the videos, but I'll see that there's always comments on them, so I appreciate you guys that watch back, that leave comments afterwards. Like it's greatly appreciated. This is something that me and Ty started new this season right at the last minute, and we just wanted to talk hoops, to give the ladies a little bit of shine, and get it out there to the peeps. So I think we've done that. We got some more playoffs to go.
Oh yeah,
should be good. Hopefully, the Aces take care of business tomorrow, and on to round 2. Next Monday, round 2. When does round 2 start? It will have started already. Shouldn't in a week. because some teams might play 3 games.
Right.
So maybe right around.
Which
maybe
should
probably
go into
right
like
around
Friday,
there.
Saturday. So yeah.
So maybe when we
We'll
see
see.
you guys next week, we might have 1 game into the second series, or maybe just starting, you know, about to start the second series. So at least the first series will be wrapped up for sure. So
Yeah.
we'll be able to talk all about that and get into the second series. So yeah. Any closing thoughts before we get out of here?
No, fun first day of playoffs. I'm looking forward to the next games, and you know, let's keep this party going. We're having fun doing this. Thank you all for tuning in.
Real quick, Brandon says Gray, Tiff, Young, Clark,
Young.
and Asia should be the starting lineup going forward.
Could be. We
Chelsea
talked
Gray,
about
Tiff Hayes, Jackie Young, Lisa Clark, Asia Wilson. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, you've talked about benching KP, leaving Tiff in there. So I got no problem with that.
I've been trying to do that since Tiff got on this team.
Yeah.
And already in the future, when I've already been sending out tweets almost every day, Tiff Hayes telling her to sign back.
He's been on that one. Yeah.
I'm working. I'm putting in the work. But yeah, me and Ty will be back tomorrow. Hopefully I'm feeling better and more lively for y'all. But you know, we made it through. Much love. Everybody have a safe, wonderful night. We're out of here.
Yeah.
Peace.